All right, another week, another episode of The Mandalorian, Season 3, Episode 3, The Convert. Spoilers ahead. I freaking love this episode, and I am super excited to talk about it today. Coruscant is my favorite planet, and I have been really interested in what they're going to be doing with this cloning theme, Dr. Pershing, in The Mandalorian in general, and to return to that timeline and to do it in a way where we're on my favorite planet and see so much of Coruscant in this episode. I just absolutely loved it. The views were stunning. There was so much to unpack with Coruscant itself on this episode that I found really, really exciting. This was great. This was peak Star Wars, in my opinion. This was as good as the best of Andor, in my opinion. Honestly, it's just how I feel. It's probably, I'm gonna call it out right now, it's probably biased because I just love Coruscant so much. That's probably the kid in me that grew up on the prequels. So, all right, let's get into the episode. First and foremost, we begin with the starfight with the Mandalorian in the gauntlet. He's going to jump in his N1 starfighter. Bo-Katan is going to see the Empire, or the remnant of the Empire, destroy her home, and they're going to own what is left of the TIE interceptors in spectacular fashion. In particular, what I thought was really exciting was not what the N1 did, but Bo-Katan being able to handle herself in the gauntlet and maneuver. There was also some really funny stuff there with R5. I thought it was just a funny little nod to R5 just being a wreck, how R5's getting knocked around, flying in the air when she maneuvers around, etc. It was just really fun. But then, of course, we see that there's a lot more Empire there, and why, we don't really know. I think that's kind of compelling, but they're just going to escape, and then the rest of the episode turns, of course, to Dr. Pershing in Coruscant. And so I just have to say, seeing Coruscant in the New Republic era, to my knowledge, is the first time we've really dug into this. Really cool, especially so close to the contrast of what we saw in Andor, where we got a look at Coruscant, which was great. I felt like Coruscant in Andor was very notably a lot more dull. There was a lot less color, a lot less liveliness on Coruscant. It seems like under the New Republic, that color is popping back like it did in the prequels. The planet feels very lively. Seeing the Umate Mountain was really cool. I've read about this before, mostly on Wikipedia. I forget. I know it's been in the novels. I think I saw it first mentioned in one of the novels that I was reading. I want to say it was one of the Throng books, and I read about it on Wikipedia. Seeing it in live action was pretty cool. I mean, it's kind of chilling, really, to have this planet that's completely covered in skyscrapers, and you don't really see a planet. It's just a city. To see the actual planet in the midst of all of that, metropolis was just really, really, really neat. So we're seeing a lot with Pershing and this amnesty program, which I feel like the amnesty program just vibes a lot to what I understand from history with Nazis and post-World War II, especially in America. I know there were similar things, especially with scientists, where scientists were hired on to work for the United States government afterwards. It feels like kind of a nod to that kind of thing. And this amnesty program is not quite what it seems, potentially, that we find out as we get to know Kane a little bit more, who was on the ship. I think her first name was Aliyah, something like that. Kane, she was on Moff Gideon's ship, right? And she's gonna meet Pershing, and I don't know about all of you, but it felt predictable to me that she was obviously up to something. I wasn't sure what, but I knew that she was baiting him into something, and I still don't know what her motives are entirely. I mean, it seems like, obviously, at a minimum, we know she's working for the New Republic to kind of weed out people who maybe still have traces of the Empire. But I feel like it was clear, at least in my mind, that Dr. Pershing, his loyalty is not to the Empire. His loyalty is to the research. And so I actually think that Kane here, I think her loyalties are still perhaps to Moff Gideon. I think she might still be working for him and keen on exploiting Pershing's research still. I don't know exactly how that's going to play out, but I'm not buying that she's trying to weed out any remaining allegiance to the Empire. Though something that obviously at the end she baits him in, to getting his little packet of research goodies, and then he gets hooked up to the Mind Flayer, which is not the Mind Flayer, according to the Mon Calamari. It's perfectly safe, and it's actually kind of relaxing. I found that really funny. But she's going to crank the voltage up, which in my mind, I guess the way I interpreted that is maybe it's going to erase more of his memory, which also makes me wonder if they've done this before and what she's playing at, because we see, I don't know what this meant, but we see Dr. Pershing kind of tugging at his ear a couple of times. The Mind Flayer machine is zapping at his ears. I don't know if it's connected, but she mentioned the word relapse in there, and so it almost feels like they're putting him on a test to see if he continues pursuing this research. So maybe she's trying to knock this idea of he wants to research cloning still out of. I don't know. There's more to this, and I'm excited to see what it was. I also found the droid therapy sessions a little bit chilling as well. I think you can kind of see the wheels turning in Pershing's head in these moments where he's realizing this is basic. It's a new system, but it's still oppressive. He's still a number. He's still being controlled, even if it's under new rule. I really like that contrast that they showed here. So, all right. Finally, after we see Pershing getting caught, we see the Mind Flayer, all of that stuff. Not the Stranger Things Mind Flayer. Every time they say that, I think Stranger Things is totally different. Now we return to Bo-Katan and Din Djarin returning to the Watch, and Din is going to prove that he has bathed in the waters, the living waters of Mandalore, and the armorer buys it. But also what I found interesting, and as soon as I saw the title, The Convert, I thought this might be where they're going. She turns to Bo-Katan and says, "You bathed in the water. You haven't removed your helmet. You are now one of us." And Bo-Katan's reaction was very interesting to me. I thought it almost felt to me like Bo-Katan, the Bo-Katan I know, would have just been like, "Nah, screw that." Take her helmet off, and then everyone would freak out. But she kind of liked it, I think, which intrigued me. It's almost like she felt like, you know what, this is a unified group of Mandalorians. It felt like home in a way to her, perhaps. I don't think it's gonna last. I don't think that the Creed really vibes with who Bo-Katan is. But in the absence of a unified Mandalore, I wonder if this is actually the catalyst, Bo-Katan joining the Watch, that might be needed for Mandalore to unify. Maybe if she, I don't know. I'm curious if she's thinking through it that way, but something in Bo-Katan seemed to change when the clan was embracing her as they came by after the armor basically said, "You're one of us now." And so very, very interesting. Although I did not hear her say this is the way. Not that I know if it's important or not. Well, she did say it in her gauntlet on the way there after Din Djarin said it. So I don't know. Very interesting setup here. So big questions going forward are mainly, what is Kane up to? How is Dr. Pershing going to play into the rest of this? Clearly, that's going to be significant. I think Moff Gideon is still at play. I think that she is I'm going to predict, I think that Kane's allegiance is still to Moff Gideon or to the Empire in some facet, and that they are trying to exploit Pershing's research still, which is going to put them on another crash course in some way with Din Djarin and Grogu. Maybe that connects to the Empire remnants that we saw attacking Bo-Katan's home. I don't know. And then, of course, what's going to happen with Bo-Katan and the Mandalorians? Is Bo-Katan going to embrace the Creed, or is she going to remove her helmet and flip off the cult and do her own thing? I think that's a lot more likely. So let me know what all of you thought about the episode. Thank you so much for joining me. And as always, my brothers, don't forget,